Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Yitz. I am a narcissistic abuse life coach, and today I'm going to be discussing the importance of self-awareness in relationships. Self-awareness is defined as conscious knowledge of one's own character, feelings, motives, and desires. When a person knows who they are outside of their influences of family of origin, parents, society, then the connection to other people will be much more free-flowing, it'll be healthier, more interconnecting, and much more sustainable in the long run. In order for a person to become self-aware, they need to explore who they are as a unique being and understand their role, their purpose in this world. Until a person becomes self-aware, their adult relationships will usually be riddled with immature behavior that leads to clashes and breakdowns. When a child is born, they are mirrored back who they are based on the parent's projection of the child. So until this is shaken, until this is shed, the child and eventually the adult will hold on to this identity, which will essentially be confirmed by family, by friends, and by culture, eventually by society. Thus, they might spend their entire life believing that this is in fact who they truly are. For example, a person might believe that they are a doctor or a lawyer or even a man or a woman or a certain specific culture, when in reality, that's not necessarily who they are. That is who they identify as. Self-awareness means the knowledge of who you truly are at a core level, which is a spirit. So you are a spiritual being. So self-awareness is actually soul awareness. And when you are self-aware, you have incorporated this concept and this true identity into your daily life to the point where it's actually creating and helping you make the decisions that align with that spirit, with the true self of who you truly are. In order to gain self-awareness, you need to shed these labels, you need to shed these mental constructs and these societal expectations, something that, because we have oftentimes lived many years and even fought for to create, are very difficult to just give up. I'm sure you can imagine the deep resistance of giving up everything you've ever known to be true in search of your true sense of self and who you truly are. There's going to be an attachment, there's going to be an ego attachment, there's going to be certain pride in the identity that you have identified with. It's going to be praised in many instances by those who are around you. The journey to self-awareness and true soul awareness is often referred to as dark night of the soul, which is basically where you literally explore your shadows, you uncover everything about your soul and identify who you are as opposed to who you are not. What you have been told is true. You challenge everything until you have a full, incorporated, integrated understanding of your true sense of self, your true spirit within. This journey really shatters everything you've ever known about yourself, which is why most people do not go on this journey. They, in fact, decide to stay almost disillusioned or brainwashed to some degree by the childhood programming of who they believe they are. When you lack this self and soul awareness, connecting to other people is never going to be truly genuine. It's always going to be with a facade of a mental construct or of an idea. It'll never be a soul-to-soul connection, or at least if it is, it will not be continuous and will not be necessarily sustainable. This ego-identified sense of self that we are raised with and until we shed ultimately becomes our main identity, becomes limited with our negative core beliefs. There's a lot of games, there's usually jealousy, ego games, an attitude of you versus me. So in relationships, this translates as dysfunctional and ultimately cannot create that synergy that we crave, the fulfillment that is craved in human relationships. Now, narcissistic abusers have rejected their true sense of self. They are not aligned with source. They are not connected to the eternal, energetic love power that exists. If you are connected to source, however, narcissistic abusers are going to want to, in a sense, steal you so that they could empower and almost use you like a battery to fuel their false self, while being able to operate out of this false self and never have to entertain the true self and the true soul of who they are. Obviously, these relationships are full of envy, anger, deception. They lack communication, and they never really are interconnecting. Without this true self and soul awareness, a person cannot transcend their ego and connect with other people on a soul level. This is the true connection and bliss that human beings crave, and this is really what we strive for in relationships. I do believe oftentimes people enter into relationships believing and thinking that they will get that soul connection, but but not realizing they haven't shed their ego, they haven't worked through, and they haven't gone through the dark night of the soul, and therefore what ends up happening is they connect on a soul level, but ultimately it clashes and breaks down because they haven't actually evolved to the point where they have moved past the ego and into a soul interconnecting relationship. And this is where you oftentimes see partners blame each other. There's an extreme lack of communication, there's a lack of fulfillment, there's resentments, there's anger, really blaming the other partner for what did not go right in the relationship without the awareness that the entire relationship was lacking the involvement past the ego to the soul level. In these ego-based and immature relationships, there's usually a lot of projection. Each partner may try to cage the other person and try to manipulate to get their needs met from the other person. But when this is the case, there is no true soul connection because it has to come organically, it has to come naturally. And when you're controlling, manipulating, ultimately that's not going to lead to true bliss and true letting go and connecting on that soul level. So true soul and self-awareness, self-aware relationships like this are where two partners really know who they are and they are okay independently because they've evolved to the point where they're not dependent on other people's values and other people's perceptions and validation, and therefore the connection that happens is much more in the flow. It's much more natural as opposed to one where each person needs to live up to certain expectations that the other has set, which usually ends in resentments, frustrations, and breakdowns. The dark night of the soul that I mentioned is when a person goes inward. They dive into their spirit and they do a lot of introspection and truly explore their inner world and shed ideas and expectations of other people and really understand on a fundamental soul level who they are. And this is really when a person can wake up and start to grow from their soul and really reach their full potential as a spiritual being in a physical body. People who have a midlife crisis, I believe, are usually going through this experience where usually there's a heartbreak, they lose love, or they lose a job, and they're forced to face the question of, why do I exist? What is my purpose? And they go on this journey inward, hopefully, and it is riddled with pitfalls because there are many people who are promising salvation, but the only true salvation and self-awareness can come by exploring yourself, listening to your own guidance system, and truly understanding the voices in your head and really the influences and connecting to source through your gut, through your intuition, through your senses, and really becoming a divine being. That is true self-awareness. This self-awareness is true freedom, where you're free to live without anybody's expectations, no pressures from other people. You connect to other people in a way that is respectful, loving, peaceful. You're not threatened by anybody else's greatness. You are more at ease and at a natural peace with who you are, and ultimately giving the world the best, most authentic, healthy, and true version of who you truly are, which is really what the world needs. The world needs people to be authentic and real, aligned with source, so that you could express that aligned self, which is an expression of the divine, to the world, creating a much more bright and healthy environment for all humanity. If you are struggling to heal from narcissistic abuse and you'd like to go on a healing journey and truly explore your inner world and understand the wounds of childhood that often lead to dysfunctional relationships and align with source, please do reach out. I'm going to leave my contact information below. I offer a free 15-minute consultation. I'd love to get on the phone with you and discuss how I can help you become more self-aware and ultimately become the healthiest version of yourself to attract and be attracted to healthier people, people who are also aligned with source. I'm going to post the information about the mind map therapy system, which I use to help people heal their childhood wounds and align them with source so they can become the most authentic version of themselves. Please see that in the description below. Feel free to like and share this video if you found it beneficial. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for future updates on posts. Thank you so much for listening to this video, and until next time, take care.